Now, a judge has sparked outrage after wishing one of the masterminds of the 7/7 bombings all the best ahead of his release.
Well, 50-year-old Haroon Aswat has served his prison sentence for the leading role he played in the deadly 2005 bombings that killed 52 people and will soon be released to his family in Yorkshire, despite police fears that he remains a serious threat.
Well, let's get the thoughts now of former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie. Now, Kelvin, this guy served his time in prison. Did you feel that the way the judge was speaking was really out of touch and out of tone? Or was he just saying that now this person has served his sentence, he should kind of wish him well to get on with it and kind of so that he'll now behave? Because I thought that's kind of how it came across.
It was beyond ludicrous that you could talk to a guy who boasted, by the way, boasted to the US authorities that he was proud to be a terrorist. He didn't move away from that position. The idea that anybody could wish him well for the future. I fear for the people of Batley. Here's the guy. By the way, the US authorities say that he's not even taking the antipsychotic drugs, which are the reason why that he's finally being let out, right? So I know this QC vaguely. I only know him because I was at Leveson and he was cross-examining me. All he is a clerk. These guys who move up to the High Court, they are like, what are they like? They're like academics who've wandered into the legal world. And there was nothing about him. He has no touchstones with humanity, that guy. All he is literally a robot that happened to read out questions to me, asking whether I was an offensive piece of tabloid turd. And I agreed, yeah, I probably was. And we all agreed to move on. So, you know, the truth about the matter is we have a justice system in our country which doesn't reflect either what people think or what sentences should be passed down. So the issue I have is, why don't we just employ the American system? Why don't we make it vaguely political so that we wouldn't have a judge who would, from the right, who would ever say anything like this? Only some liberal dimwit would ever say anything like all the best. And other aspects of what he said included, keep taking the medication, won't you? Well, actually, if he'd read the evidence, he'd already know that actually he wasn't taking the medication because it, quotes, made him feel sleepy. This is a man who was proud of the fact that, in fact, his connections led to a load of people dying. I find it, all I think it does do is reflect on what kind of people are in the upper reaches of our judicial system today, and do they actually represent anybody? So we worried about, for instance, I worried about conservatism, and then along came reform, and it seemed to be suddenly, oh yes, there are a load of people out there who want something a bit tougher on the bone, right? I wonder whether when eventually Farage gets to power, he decides to attack this kind of liberal left. It's as though
Kelvin, is it the judges? Is it the judges that's the problem here, or is it the sentencing guidelines in the first place? I mean, this guy would be out whether or not the judge wished him well on his way out. I mean, a lot of these people got 20-year sentences in 2005, and that means in 2025 and early 2026, because of the 20 years since those trials, we are going to see quite a few of these terrorists released in the coming months. Is that the fault of the judges, or is that the fault of the politicians, frankly, and the laws?
Well, to be honest with you, had 7/7 or 2005 happened today, they wouldn't have got 20 years. They would have got 30 or 40 years. There's been a substantial upreach in sentencing policies. No, my point is that if a Farage-type figure comes to power, I think we have to have a look at the kind of people who are our judges, because it's as though the BBC runs the High Court or runs the Old Bailey. It is ridiculous. It's a left of centre. Oh, I feel very sorry for you. Oh, are you a terrorist? Are you feeling better? Are you still taking the drugs? I hope you are. I hope the people of Batley are going to look forward to seeing you as their neighbour. Give us a break. You know, it's terrible.
All right, Kelvin Mackenzie, thank you very much. And apologies for the very fruity language, but we totally understand your passion.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying, data brokers often target vulnerable people with high interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
We can now speak with the former Army officer Andrew Fox. Andrew Fox, welcome to the show. And apologies for cutting you off earlier on when Donald Trump hoved into view. Here you are back. And I must say, a few people complain we cut you off because they love you. And now you're back. On a serious point, what kind of judge says all the best to somebody involved in a terror plot?
It's quite remarkable. This guy, Haroon Aswat, has got a remarkable backstory of jihadism dating all the way back to the early 2000s, where he was recruiting fighters to go and conduct terrorist operations in Jammu and Kashmir and in the India-Pakistan border, in Bosnia. He spent some time in South Africa, and it's almost certain that he met two of the bombers from 7th of July in Lahore when he was over there in Pakistan. And then he allegedly spoke to two of the bombers before they detonated themselves in London in that terrible bombing on 7th of July, and left the country the same day. He was actually extradited to the United States, and he was imprisoned for setting up a terrorist training camp in Oregon in the US. And then he came back to the UK after 7 years of imprisonment in 2022, and he's diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. So this guy does not seem like someone that we should be releasing back into the wider population, and nor does it seem appropriate to me that the judge would speak of him in those terms.
Andrew Fox, it comes as a grim coincidence, no doubt, that we hear he's going to be released into Batley. An Islamist, a convicted Islamist terrorist being released into Batley, of course, where the Batley Grammar School teacher lives. Just makes you kind of try to struggle to compute, the kind of relative importance that this country seems to place upon its civilians. We never heard, for example, a all the best message from anybody in politics towards the Batley Grammar School teacher.
Indeed. And, the fact that the police in court argued that he shouldn't be released and he still does pose a threat should be deeply worrying to everyone. But one can only hope that our security services are keeping an eye on this gentleman until either they're happy that he isn't a threat or until such time as he's a threat again and then gets rearrested. But either way, it's a huge drain on our resources of our security services, who are exceptionally busy and frankly have better things to do than look at someone who's been in jail, who is a confirmed long-standing jihadist and should still be in jail, quite frankly.